Good morning, my beautiful people. My name is Allison Monroe, and I hope you are ready and excited for what I have in store for you this morning. But before we can get into all that good stuff, let's take a quick stop at the news desk for this morning's headlines.
Good morning. Time now for a summary of your top stories. As the island prepares to make the Caribbean Court of Justice, or CCJ, its final appellate court, people have been expressing their thoughts both for and against the move.
To get justice through the Privy Council, you have to have at least 50,000 EC dollars to start off with, to retain your lawyer, to be able to travel to London and wait until the case is heard and to go through it on your behalf. If you have to go or wish to go as well, that is... So the Privy Council is out of reach for the average St. Lucian.
Greater access to justice for the poor does not start at the CCJ level. You do not file an action with the CCJ if you want justice before the courts. You file your action at the lower court level, at the Supreme Court level, the High Court level, the Magistrates Court level. That's where you start. Now, if you can't get to that level because of, number one, the cost of filing at the lower court, and that keeps going up and up and up, and I can guarantee you many people cannot afford it because I have matters before the court, so I know exactly how much it costs. So that's one issue. The other issue for access to justice for the majority of the population is the cost of finding representation.
The SLP administration has been the driving force behind the adoption of the CCJ in spite of opposition party calls for a referendum. But the Constitution makes the allowances for such a legislative decision due to government's two-thirds majority in the House of Parliament. Commerce Minister Emma Hippolyte says the government remains concerned about the continued rise in the price of goods on the international market and says efforts are being made to ensure an increase in local production of many of these items, including eggs.
We are always concerned when you have an increase in price, but the price of egg is not only in the regional market, the increase is also international. You listen to it, the price of eggs in the UK, in the US has increased. What we are trying to do is to try to produce a lot more of the eggs that we consume on island.
A combination of factors, including inflation and the avian influenza, have contributed to the increase in costs. Tipsy Restaurant and Bar in Lafargue-Choiseul was completely engulfed in flames during the wee hours of Tuesday. Now the structure lies as a pile of ash and rubble despite fire personnel's best efforts to save it.
Emergency personnel at the Viewfort Fire Station on Monday, February 7th at 3:35 a.m. responded to a call informing of a structural fire possibly involving several buildings at Lafargue-Choiseul. The fire suppression team found 3 structures engulfed in flames. One of these was reported as being an abandoned wooden dwelling house. The other 2 structures were of mixed occupancies. The flames emanating from these structures threatened other residential properties which were in close proximity. Using 2 fire appliances and employing tactical firefighting skills, firefighters fully extinguished the fire with no damage to the nearby properties. No persons were reported injured as it relates to this incident.
The St. Lucia Fire and Emergency Services is continuing its investigation into the cause of the blaze. Prime Minister Philip J. Pierce says the recent outcome of a court case involving the Speaker of the House of Assembly and the Micoud South MP and leader of the opposition is clear evidence of the independence and impartiality of the local court system. The matter ended with the judge ruling in favor of the opposition leader.
That is really success of our separation of powers. I mean, I'm sure the leader of the opposition may want to come back on some of the disparaging remarks he said about our system. It shows that the system is working. And I'm very proud that the separation of powers is working. We do not get involved in that. I've never got involved in that. The courts do what they have to do. Separation of powers. So when people speak about the Caribbean Court of Justice and political interference, it shows you that these are just myths. We have no confidence in ourselves as a people. We have no confidence in ourselves. What we must do, we must understand, is there's a separation of powers that has worked. How can we accept in the United States judges are chosen by politicians, strict politicians, and they actually tell you Republican judges and Democratic judges. But in our system, we lack so much confidence in ourselves as a people that we can't accept the fact that our system has worked, it is working, and I'm very happy that the leader of the opposition saw it work. So I hope he can come back on these backward remarks that he made about the Caribbean Court of Justice.
The court ruled that the Miko MP be paid legal fees, which have since been revealed by the House Speaker Claudius Francis to be around $75,000. Those are your top stories. Thanks for watching. Good morning.
Thanks, news team, and don't go too far, because we'll be right back. Welcome back. So first up, we have Naomie Grandison, better known as Ngozi, as she tells us more about World Cancer Day. Good morning, my beautiful people. I am joined here with Naomie Grandison, also known as, or should I say better known as, Ngozi. And how are you doing this morning?
I am fantastic. Happy to be here with you, Alison.
That's what I like to hear, and I'm happy to be here with you today. Now, today we're talking about World Cancer Day. We're talking about the cancers. So let's get right into it, shall we? What exactly is World Cancer Day? What is it all about?
So World Cancer Day is observed every 4th of February. It's all about bringing awareness to the various types of cancers, because usually people think about breast cancer. Every time they think of cancer, they think pink. So World Cancer Day is all about getting persons to be involved in understanding what the cancers are, what are the limitations, to open up the conversations about what cancer patients and survivors have been going through. And this year, also last year, the international theme was Closing the Care Gap. And last year we had the sub-theme, Show Concern for Cancer. This year we're focusing on Prevent, Screen, Manage. So we're telling you what to do to show that concern for cancer, to do what you need to do to prevent it, because almost like we have a large amount of cancers that are preventable. I think 1/3 of cancers can be prevented. So prevention, early detection, which is through screening, whether it be to do your pap smears, to get your prostate examination, to do your testicular examination, to check if you have H. pylori, because H. pylori can contribute to stomach cancer. It's a bacteria. So talking to your doctors and having a good relationship with your doctor is important. So this is what World Cancer Day is all about. But we're extending the observance, not just for the day, but at least for the month. So we will be, we have scheduled several media appearances on various television and radio shows. We are also working on a production where survivors and doctors can have conversations where the patients are the one really teaching the doctor about what they go through. We are also going to use social media to educate people on the different types of cancers, because most people know about breast cancer. We're going to focus primarily on lifestyle change. Tobacco doesn't only cause lung cancer. It can contribute to so many other cancers. You understand what I'm saying? We have alcohol, stomach, almost every system is affected by alcohol. We have liver as well. We have high sugar diets causing obesity and increasing your risk for even breast and ovarian cancers. We have so many different lifestyle changes, even high salt diet like the salted pigtail and the sausages, the things we love, the saltfish and the cured meats, and all of these things are carcinogenic. And so we're asking people to reduce on these things, to increase their exercise, eat more fruits, vegetables, nuts, water. This is all, we just want to continue the conversation.
And I completely agree with you. We have a lot of lifestyle changes to put in place, because we Caribbean people, we like what we love. And when we love something, that's all we know, right? Yeah. But when speaking of that, I keep looking at your pin. I keep looking at your beautiful pin. Now, if you could see it, guys, it's honestly a very beautiful pin. Yeah, she's representing her little pin, and it's so colorful on your little white shirt. It basically pops. So is that something that St. Lucians are doing this time around for World Cancer Day?
Thanks for asking, Alison. Actually, this year the ministry we want to bring awareness to all the cancers, so we have created those pins which guide people, to work on prevention, screening, and managing cancer. So the staff all around the island at the wellness centers have been given those pins to bring out the message. We're asking if you're interested in getting a pin, you could also email me, naomie.grandison@govt.lc. So I can look to source pins for those who are interested. We're asking persons to wear it throughout the month, and if you want to take a photo with it and just sort of like show your concern for those who've gone through that, or if you're going through it or a family member has gone through it, we just want to bring to the fore prostate is the number one in terms of the cancer in St. Lucia. We have cancers that don't have a specific site. Then we have, for women, we have breast cancer at the top of the list. We have cervical cancers, and the top 10 cancers also include the lung cancers, colon cancers. We have so many different forms, including the myelomas, including the endometrium, including the ovaries. So these are the ones that are among the top 10 cancers in St. Lucia. And I want to also add that if persons have listened to the news recently, they may have heard two different statistics on the cancers. For instance, when reporting is done on cancer, sometimes the different diseases are put in different categories. But when stroke and hypertension is grouped with other heart disease, then heart disease will be at the top in terms of causing mortality in St. Lucia. But when all the diseases are put separate, then cancer ends up being at the top. I hope I explained that. Yeah, so sometimes you might hear somebody say it's number one, and then when you're doing the global statistics and you're explaining it from a general heart health perspective, then heart disease will be number one in St. Lucia.
Right, so you see, you have told us a lot. So I hope, I hope you guys are paying attention. I hope you are listening and taking notes. So what are some of the symptoms that you would experience when you have one of those cancers? Because I'm sure a lot of people just keep hearing about it, but they would not go on screen if they're not seeing anything out of the blue. So what are some of the symptoms?
I'm loving this question. There are so many different types of cancer, but one thing we must note is that most cancers are asymptomatic. You don't have any symptoms at all. So we're telling persons, hence the reason why you need to go on screen. And there's so many different types of cancers. We may need to have a different show for each one so I can speak to the signs and the symptoms, but ideally you need to have a relationship with your doctor, do your pap smears, do your examinations that I mentioned before. And when something changes in your body, when you start to feel ill and it's not going away after a week, 2 weeks, no matter what you do, go check it out. Because I know people who just had a fever and they found out they had colon cancer. So it's a lot of the times it's non-specific. It could be an ache, it could be a pain, it could be no ache, it could be pressure, it could be a lump, it could be so many different things depending on the site. I don't want people to overthink symptoms in their body, but just go check it out and challenge your doctors when you feel something. Ask them, should I be screening for cancer? So this is what we're trying to do this year. Survivors, we also have testimonials of survivors that persons will be seeing on television and on the various social media platforms.
That is good. I think it is very important that we hear the survivors' stories and what they went through, because a lot of people don't understand the seriousness behind cancer if they themselves have never experienced it or had a family member go through that process. It's not really something that you can just imagine or materialize in front of you because you don't know any better. So when the survivors come out and they speak and they have that heart-to-heart with people, I think that's a very important part of this whole thing and bring awareness to cancer, as these survivors need to talk. They need to come out, they need to share their story, because only then a lot of people will then understand how dire cancer is.
Well said. You've said everything that I wanted to say in a nutshell, and this is why we at the Ministry of Health, Bureau of Health Education, have decided to involve in a greater manner the stories of the survivors. And we're working also with Dr. Gabriel, hoping to work with Calabash TV on creating that particular program, bringing persons together to have that conversation.
Right, and with that, guys, I think we give you enough information. If you are feeling anything, whether it's something you've experienced today, tomorrow, you need to just go and check it out. If you're not experiencing nothing, still go and check it out because you never know, and we'd rather be safe than sorry. Exactly. So, guys, you ponder on all of that information that we gave you. I want to say thank you so much, Ngozi, for joining me here. And, guys, I'll see you in just a little bit. Thanks for staying tuned, everybody. So, as we said before, World Cancer Day was on February 4th, but we are celebrating throughout the month. So, here we have a survivor who, as he tells us more about his story. Here is Mr. Francis Dariah. Good morning, my beautiful people. I want to introduce you to Mr. Francis Dariah. Now, how are you doing this morning, Mr. Francis?
Well, I feel great by the grace of God. I'm doing good.
That's what we want to hear. We want to ensure that everybody is doing good. It is a beautiful day. We want those beautiful smiles and those beautiful energy. Now, we are in, this year, I find that we are pushing the limits of just World Cancer Day. We're not just doing the day, we are doing the entire month, right? Yes. So we have brought you here to give the people a better understanding for those who may not have experienced it themselves or had a family member, just so they can get a better understanding of how serious this is. So, Mr. Francis, you can take it away and tell your story.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, my name is Francis Dariah. I'm a retired police officer. Presently, I live at Cicero. I'm originally from Vanna, but I now live at Cicero. Well, it all happened that when I retired from the police force, I took up farming because I grew up in the country and I have a love for the soil. So I was doing farming with my cousin. And to be honest with you, at age 60, I was working strong. I had more strength than a lot of 40-year-olds because I was feeling great. I was feeling good. But it happened that at age 66, there was a day that was in 2001. I came home from the garden and then I felt I had a fever. There was that little change in my body. Like we normally would do in St. Lucia, you'd say, feel me, to see if I have any temperature. I asked my wife to check me, but she told me, no, you're doing good, you're okay. But I was feeling inside of me that the chill, like I was coming down with the flu. So I took 2 paracetamol. I went for a rest. Then about half an hour, I got up feeling fine, just as I am today, feeling great. So I resumed the next day my gardening, because I said maybe it was just a little passing cold or something. But it kept on happening to me, like every 3-4 days. So after 2 weeks, I said, no, that change in my body is not right. Because I am someone who used to check my doctor every year, every 2 years. I was always checking for all different things. But cancer was never on my mind, never. To me, there was nothing called cancer. So, as I said, I went to my doctor. I went to have some tests done and so on. When I got the results, the only thing the doctor found that was wrong was my blood count was low. Now, it was strange because when I told him about my diet, when he questioned me and then he got to know what my diet was, my lifestyle was, that it was kind of strange that my blood count was low. So because I have sickle cell trait, so he said maybe this is the reason why my blood count is low. So what he did, he gave me some tablets and so on, and then he sent me home, and then I think after 2 weeks, I repeated those tests. So he found that the blood count was coming on. So he said, okay, Mr. Dariah, I can see you are doing okay and so on. So I think I will discharge you. But I will not let you go just so. I will refer you to an internist who will take it from there. And to make a long story short, another series of tests and so on. And then when I had the stool test, it was discovered that I had traces of blood in that test. So the doctor told me, I remember he said, Mr. Dariah, don't say I'm making you spend a lot of money, but I will not rest until we get to the bottom of this. So jokingly I said, well, doc, it is better to spend the money once you have it than to end up by Rambalio Creek. you know, so he said, okay, I will send you for a colonoscopy. As we know, colonoscopy is a procedure where they insert a camera for your anus and it takes pictures of your colon, so you know what is happening. After the colonoscopy, it was discovered that I had 2 growths. So the doctor took samples and he told me to take it to the lab for testing. Now, before the colonoscopy, he told me that the stool, the blood in the stool could have been polyps, inflammation, a torn tissue, or cancer. Now, when he said cancer, I almost said, Doc, but that one is not for me. you know, so what I'm trying to say is that we never know what is inside of us unless, we make it our duty to check regularly, to find our status, what it is like. Because I almost, but Doc, that one is not for me. So when I took the sample to the lab, when I got the result, the doctor put me to sit down, and my wife was there with me, and then he started like preparing me, like you go to prep school for something. He was preparing me for the news. And then, Mr. Dariah will have to do this and that, so and so, so and so. Maybe if it is so and so, the doctor will remove that piece, and but it will be okay, and so on. And said, anyway, Mr. Dariah, this is cancer we're talking about. You have colon cancer. My dear, let me tell you something. There is no word I can find to describe the feeling. For some, especially a professional, to look at you and tell you that you have cancer. There is no sound. When they talk about earthquake, you see like what we see in the 3D movies, like you see the thing live, then it cannot compare to that. It cannot compare to that, to tell you that you have cancer. Because right away, now at that time, I knew nothing about St. Lucia Cancer Society, the group called Pillars of Hope, or Faces of Cancer. I knew nothing about these things because I was a happy-go-lucky fella. Living my life, enjoying life. Yes, it is true that I was above 60, but I was living the life with the strength of a 40-year-old. It is true because I am 2 years older than my cousin. And when we used to be on the farm, I remember one day he told me, man, for someone who did policing all your life, you are not accustomed to the heat of the sun and the lifting and the pushing. I find you very strong. I told him, but I have the love for the soil, so nothing is too much for me to do. Right. So, as I said, when you get that news, at one time, I picture myself lying in a coffin. Because when you have cancer, it is a death warrant. But I want to let you know, I want to let those who are seeing and hearing this program to know that it is not. Cancer is not a death warrant. If we neglect ourselves, if we are being too negligent, and then we allow it to come on us suddenly, then it is a problem. But throughout, I have always been advocating that people check your doctor. The same way you have a budget for your car. You know, you hear a little squeak in your front wheel. By the time you finish with me here, you at the mechanic, you know. So why, if we feel any little change in our body, we don't do the same? You know, we have to take care of ourselves. So when the doctor told me that I had colon cancer, you know, as I said, I was depressed, I was dejected. I just, as I said, I just cannot tell you how I was feeling. But to me, I was on my way to the grave. When I got a little relief was after the test, the result, I had to do a CT scan to know the stage, you know, and then so that the doctor would know where to cut, what to remove, and so on. When I had the CT scan done, the doctor asked me if I was on any medication or if I was getting chemotherapy for my problem. I said, no, doc, we are waiting the result of this examination to know what to do. Then he said something to me that I will never forget. He told me, you'll be fine. He said, because it is well contained, it is not spread, it is not inflamed, it is not leaking. So all your doctor will have to do is just take out the piece, and then you can live a normal life. And on the 13th of July 2021, among the pandemic and election fever, everything, I had surgery right here in St. Lucia at OKEU. Most people I speak to, you know, they ask me, but you had that operation right here? You had it here? You know, as if they're surprised. But we don't have to be afraid. Once we keep on checking our status, our health status, to know where we stand, how we are, it is not something that we'll have to spend too much money. You have to go overseas for extra treatment. It is when it is discovered at a very late stage. You know, sometimes you'd say, okay, well, there's no hope for me here, let me go overseas. But if going overseas was all that we need, my deceased uncle who died 8 years ago would have been here now. Because had I stayed, because as I said, I was feeling very strong. I was feeling strong and great, healthy. But had I said that, okay, this is just a little passing fever, whatever, you know, maybe by now, which is almost a year and a half, by now it would have developed into something worse, and then by the time I would know that I'm suffering with colon cancer, it would have been too late. you understand? Yeah, so simply, this is basically the story that I want to share with my people. We can do better.
Yes, we indeed can. Now, I know a lot of people have heard many cancer stories, but they usually end up in death or some very sad ending. But you know, if you do the daily, not daily, but if you do the checks, if you do the necessary checks, you are best friends with your doctor, I'm sure you can have a success story just like Mr. Dariah here. Now, I want you to understand exactly what happened. He followed his doctor's instructions, he followed the health professionals, and he had the success story. You understand? So we want to urge everyone to do your checks, ensure you get screened. If you feel any sort of change, to not just sit down, relax, and just think it's nothing, it's just a little fever, it will pass. It's not always a passing cloud. Sometimes we need to go and we need to get checked. We need those success stories. We don't want all those deaths. We need those success stories, right? Now, is there anything you would like to tell our viewers before we end today?
Okay, well, let me just give you a little story. There was a day someone said that he passed by a river and then he saw the devil crying. And then when he asked the devil what was wrong, the devil said, they blame everything on me. Things that I don't know of, they will say, oh, say, you know, now we like to blame everything on gas. Oh, Many van like a chwe. You know we have gas. We blame everything on gas. I lost a friend as a young police officer. I lost a friend through appendicitis, and all the time he thought it's gas he had. And when the appendix ruptured, it was too late, and then he died. So my final words to you now is that, as I said, let us make sure we follow our bodies, the signals.
All right, and with that, I want to say thank you so much for joining me here today. And guys, I'll see you in just a little moment.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's SocaCize session. Leading the wine, we have Sarah, Laurie, and Shani. Let's get ready to sweat with SocaCize. For this morning's workout, we will be doing a bacchanal warm-up routine to Balance Bati by WCK. Let's do this. Four, three, two, swing those hips. Four, three, two, hips going in a circle. 3, 2, 1, and 4, 3, 2, step and switch. 4, 3, 2, first side and 4, 3, 2, next side. Hey. 4, 3, down and up. Hip. Let's go. 8, 8, 8, 8. Stroke back, squeeze it. Last one, side to side with the hip. Woo! Let's go. 4, 3, 2, circle. 4, 3, 2, step and 4, 3, 2, switch. Hey! 4, 3, 2, foot side. Switch it. Hey! One more. 4, 3, hip down and up and stroke back, balance bati. Let's go. 4 more. Side to side hips. 4, 3, step and 4, 3, 2, switch and 4, 3, 2, first side. 4, 3, 2, next side. 4, 3, hip down and up and last one, push back. Let's go. Hey, hey, hey. 4 more. Hey, hey, hey. Roll the hips. 4, 3, 2, 1, and that's it. That was this morning's session. Thank you for choosing to flaunt with SocaCize. We hope that you're feeling sexy, sultry, and strong.
All right, everybody, I hope you were well informed today. I hope you got something from that. If anything, ensure you go to your yearly checkups. Right now, I want you to have an amazing day today. Today is Wednesday, so we don't want it to be a hum day. We want to have a great day. So go forward, have an amazing day, and I'll see you tomorrow bright and early. Bye.